Hello everyone, welcome back to tutorial number 6 on illustration with me, Ed Reynolds. This week we're going to be looking at figurative drawing. Figurative drawing is the human body, a very good thing to understand in drawing, proportions, shapes and sizes, and we'll be drawing the human body using very simple shapes and helping us to understand the actual makeup of our bodies. We'll also be looking at exercises that we can do during lockdown using our own bodies. No weights, no measures, only just our human bodies using stretches and stuff. So I have a very interesting little exercise for you to do there too. So get your pens or your pencils, your paper, whatever you have at the ready, and let's get drawing. And before I carry on, can I say please send us in your artworks that you've been making throughout the series. We'd love to see them and we'd love to share them up on the Wheelworks website. Okay guys, let's go for it. Okay, let me start by showing you and explaining to you the proportions of the human body. The size is made up, for this instance we're taking a male, okay? And we begin by drawing a head, okay? I'm using the red pen, which will be my light pen, and the black will be the darker, okay? So for here, we're going to use, remember this, 8 heads, 8 circles will give you a correct, proportionally correct measurement of the human body, okay? I'll just first of all draw a vertical line down here, okay? And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, okay? Obviously these are just drawn roughly and just equally spaced, and they give a good measurement and insight into the proportions. Okay, so I'm going to start in one half of the body first. Okay, so the head, first of all we're going to work out the map of the body, 1, 2, 3 and 4. When we get to this part here, we get to the groin, okay, the groin of the human, of the groin of the man, all right? And we get also to the middle is the belly, and the second part we get to the chest, okay? I'm going to draw more circles here just to broaden out the body itself. We'll start with the head, okay? Just with dark, neck comes down, shoulders come out here and at that side, and this would be like what Michelangelo or Leonardo did. It's the classical study of the human body. So obviously for people of different shapes and sizes, proportions are different, but this is an insight into the proportions of the classic human body, you know, the proportionally straight. Okay, we're going to go, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, okay? I'm going to say the chest is here, all right? And the hips from the male, remember this one, when the male, the outside of the shoulder, here, where that meets the shoulder forearm, when it comes down, it takes us to where the hips come out, okay? I'm going to come in there to the torso and chest, up there to the arm region, okay? And we will go to number 5. The 5th head is where the knees are, okay? And the 8 obviously is where the feet are. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to take this. Is that right? That's going to be, the knees are going to come down here a bit. 5th head. Sorry, the knees should be here. Apologies. In number 6, between 5 and 6, okay? Here's where the knees are, okay? Let me draw. Okay, and the lines go up to the groin. hips and feet. So we mark this out first, darken it with the black pencil or the black pen, and the arms come down here, shoulders out more a bit there, the line comes out, and the hands will always come down to the fifth one, okay? So, and we do the same, it's basically a mirror reflection over onto the other side. Okay, so we're going to draw the upper body, beginning with the head there too, neck, shoulders, the arm, and the elbow, let's say there too. Okay, and let's bring the hips out, that line that carries where the hip meets. So, sorry, it's here, okay? Where that meets the exact same width, where the shoulder comes out, and the legs come down, join into the knees, and legs come down there to the feet, okay? So you can see we have a pretty close, a pretty accurate depiction of the human body, just with those shapes and those measurements and those sizes, okay? So what you can do later on when you've done this, you can add in, obviously, you can add in like tone, shapes, you know, features like the ears. We did a very brief thing last week about the proportions to the face and the expressions, the gap between there. You have the two eyes, nose, but that's something you just need to do yourself. It's to study the human body and look, measure, and learn these proportions that will help you map out the human body. Because they say if you can draw the human body and understand the proportions and draw an accurate description, an accurate representation of the human body, you can draw anything, because they say the human body is one of the trickiest things to illustrate, okay? And so for children, the proportions are different. Like when you're from the ages of 1 to 5, I think you've maybe 4 heads. I think when you're up to maybe like adolescence, it's maybe 6, like 5 or 6 heads. And when you grow to a young adult, you are the scale of 8 heads. So it's 8 heads in the human body, okay? So remember that, okay? So I would encourage you to look at people, get someone to stand in front of you, get even the small little wooden mannequins to use, often the little wooden dolls made of wire, really handy made of wood and wire, really handy to use. And you will begin to kind of understand the shapes for which we're made of. Like if you think of circles, little cones, lines that cross, cubes that bend, and always look for where the spine line is, the line of the spine in the human body. I'm just making this up kind of willy-nilly, but this is just shoulders, circles, and yeah, the lines, the knees. This is maybe the shape of a footballer or a skier or a dancer or someone jumping. But see how these lines that you create give you a freedom to draw the human body and to maybe understand the human body, as opposed to just drawing it beginning from the head, or working your way down just with your pen, your paintbrush, or your marker. Always map it out with the lines and the shapes, and understanding the distance between each. The eight heads the way down. I'm just gonna just fill this in here to show you what I mean. This is like a footballer, I think. Football, you bring in the shape, the body, the outer bits, the chest, collarbones, shoulders, and what I did meant to say earlier on with the women, it's a slightly different proportion. When the shoulders come out, they have a wider, their hips, they have a wider hips, and that anatomically, their hips are wider, so they come out slightly further. So I'll just dress this person up here, using, okay, again, shapes for the hands a little bit big there. But you can see how you can start to dress up the figure of the human with the series of shapes, and then you can put in the clothes or the outfit, you can put in the shading area, kind of darken where the shadow falls if the light is coming from here. Okay, so I hope that to begin with gives you a clear or an insight or an understanding as to how what the human body is made up of. So we're now going to look at a series of exercises. Maybe I should have done this at the very beginning of these tutorials, because we're kind of nearing the end of lockdown. But I'm going to show you a series of exercises drawn using these principles very quickly and very loosely using the iPad Pro. I did a tutorial on it last week, and I will run you through just these movements and these how I drew these illustrations, and maybe you can follow me through too. Okay, so maybe you want to pause the video as we progress, okay? Okay, here are some illustrations for workouts. A workout, not just for lockdown, not just for teenagers, but for everybody during these times and during any time, okay? We begin with the simple, begin with the shapes, we begin with the circles, we find our lines. These are done very quickly and very loosely because it's something I'm kind of used to doing. I hadn't done it in a while, but this is something I like to do, just again with the circles and shapes, and always mindful of the proportions that we talked about earlier on, the 8 heads. And once you're used to that, you start to figure out the proportions and where things should rest in line with the rest of your body, okay? You can see here this person with the hands behind their head. I've drawn that shape, that kind of square rectangular shape for the chest and the hips and the long legs, circular knees. Same with this guy for the squat position. That chest, that shape that we know. And again, yeah, all loose, always beginning from the head. These are sketched out quick. Well, it took a while for these to be sketched out, but I'm just showing the playback for this exercise. And then I am putting in the actual names. See how I struggled more with the actual text on these than I did with drawing the actual bodies. Okay, so the body weight squat is a great exercise. I want you to do three of these. Okay, 45 repetitions. So there's an exercise here, both physical and both creative, and just working out on your floor as well as working out the actual proportions in the exercise. Okay, so we've got the bicycles, elbow to the knee exercise, do 3 sets. And we've got the bird dogs. I just need to change that text and make it a bit clearer, okay? Usually with a display like this, it's nice to get a good color match as well. Black and red against white go well with a blue, kind of a thin, the light lines, but I'm going to go over these shortly with the darker marker. and remove all of the construction lines. Okay, so the bird dogs alternating reach and kick back, 3 sets. Okay, and then the body weight walking lunge, we're going to do 3 sets, 45 reps. Okay, so now I'm going to go over with my black ink using the Apple Pencil. Look, this can be what we said earlier on, this can be your black marker over your red marker, or your black biro or pen or whatever it is over your pencil line. So the blue lines here represent my pencil lines, and the black are my finishing lines. Okay, so I'm just going to run the marker through here, finishing up, and you can see it looks fairly effortless. It is when you know and understand the proportions. So I would say to you, study the proportions and just keep drawing for as much as you can, and yeah, it's the best way to learn. I've just removed the blue pencil lines. I'm just going to color in some body clothes here. This is the female represented, seeing as we did the male in the first part of the tutorial. And proportions are similar, all except for the hips, which are slightly bigger on the female body. Okay, so listen, there are your essential workouts for not just lockdown, but for any time. Study the human body, draw the human body as often as you can. So if you understand that, you can draw anything, because it, as I said earlier, is the most difficult of all things to draw and understand. So everyone, there you go. That's 6 out of 6 tutorials done on illustration. I hope you've been drawing all your way through, and just think about the things that I've said along the way. Things like observation. Just looking out for things. Carry yourself a notepad and paper, pencil and paper, pen and paper, whatever you have, whatever you can find. Just, you'll never be bored when you can draw. And especially in these times when, you know, we're sat around, our school work is done, our college work is done, our work is finished for the day or whatever, bored with what's on TV, just take out your paper and draw the person next to you, and just study the proportions, the lines, the shapes, and the makeup of what it is that you see in front of you. Okay, so listen, thanks for joining in over these past 6 weeks. I really appreciate you tuning in and following what it is I'm doing here. And please don't forget to subscribe to the Wheelworks channel, and also please send some of your artwork. We'd love to see how you've progressed along the way. Okay, thanks, see you later on, bye bye.